12, Nick.
12 degrees.
I was gonna dump this coffee out, but hey,
it's frozen.
I'm not very maneuverable. I guess I should give you guys some context as to what's going on here. I'll cut that heater. This is our second day of late season hunting. We got calm conditions this morning, so me and Nick aren't gonna get real froggy. It's crunchy and loud in the woods. These deer are gonna hear us coming from a mile away. We're gonna slide into an area that's really easy to get in and out of. We're gonna try to slip in there a few minutes before daylight, get on this point of trees where we can overlook this kind of flat little meadow out in front of us. All them deer last night were going right up that transition, browsing on honey locust pods before they left to go out to that bean field. Like I said yesterday, I've got some cameras out right now over standing beans and standing corn that's on the public land. But as you would imagine, those places get hunted a lot, and the one camera last night had a pile of deer on it, no shooter bucks, but tons and tons of deer, all of which were after dark. I put those cameras out on December 23rd, opening day of the late muzzleloader season. There had been 2 weeks of gun deer hunting prior to that. So I was curious how long it would take these deer with the pressure slacking off to start moving out to those food plots during the day. I put it out there, put the cameras out there over those food plots on the 23rd. Immediately that night started getting pictures of deer, including some nice bucks, and it took about 5 or 6 days of just purely nighttime movement on those food plots before a deer finally started showing up during the day. And that's just a deer, that's not a buck, that's does and fawns and stuff. Now on the food plots that haven't been hunted, there's deer moving out into them about an hour before dark in the evenings. But what is today, the 6th or 7th?
7th.
It's the 7th of January. I put them cameras out on the 23rd, and they got massive hunting pressure on the 21st and the 22nd of December. So that may give you a little bit of an idea of how long it took those deer to start moving to those food plots in daylight. I mean, it was a solid week after all the pressure came through before those deer felt comfortable moving back out there in the day. And yesterday evening there was a bunch of deer on that one little standing bean food plot, but no bucks, all does and fawns. Even when I put them cameras up, I thought, like, man, I see a lot of deer on these food plots, but rarely any big bucks during the day. And last night we saw 20 plus deer back in the edge of the cover. And I bet you the majority of them deer didn't make it out in that bean field until right at last light. But we were seeing deer an hour before dark. Build monthly. There we go. Standard. Because this is Greg's field.
This is Greg's field.
This is Greg's field where he's killed all the turkeys over the years. It's really close to the access. So I think that we might get a shooter buck on this camera, but it's going to be at 9:30 o'clock. 9:30 o'clock.
9:30 o'clock. 9:30 o'clock at night.
Same thing we seen them do last night, where they meander in this grass up these edges. Yeah. Feeding on locust pods and stuff. There's a pile of droppings back in there. I see a deer, don't move.
Is it on the hill?
Yep. I think we can ease back. I think it's behind a bunch of stuff now. That's what they eating in here.
Pretty good little scouting expedition, though.
Oh yeah, we just found a pretty good looking spot. Put a camera up over some more standing beans, tons of deer sign. We're anticipating it's gonna be the same deal though as the other cameras that I've got out. All nighttime movement. Or any daytime movements only by does and little bucks. The big boys are gonna be back in this thick stuff. And me and Nick just found a head of one of these ditches with a bunch of locusts in it. You can see where they were eating all them locust pods.
Yeah, they're all chewed on.
Yep, they're working right up that transition, just like they did last night, going right up and down that transition in that canary grass, feeding on locust pods. They really eat them when it gets cold like this. So we may slip back up in there. We got all the clothes on that we own. That's a slight embellishment, but we have a lot of clothes on. We're hiking back into this spot that we scouted earlier. Me and Nick slid in there and we found a nice transition where it went into grass in the bottom, coming off real thick ridges, and the transition in between the two is mostly made up of honey locusts. And there was all kinds of deer sign in that transition. They tend to bed up on the leeward sides of these ridges where there's thermal cover, and they travel down the ridges to those transitions in the bottom, and they go up and down those transitions feeding on honey locusts during the daylight. That's a perfect safe place for them to move until it gets dark, and then they head out to the main ag fields for the night. Anyway, here we go. We've got our hot hands, got my toe warmers engaged.
Yeah, I got too many clothes on. Look like Ralphie's little brother. Look at all this puff right here.
And we'll probably still get cold. Nice buck. We're at straight up about 200. Oh yeah, just on. He's coming at us. Okay. Alright, I got him. up seeing, I think, 6 or 7 deer. That one buck come right by us, perfect. And then when he got out in that bottom, he was looking that direction. And I kept looking past him trying to find another deer, and then I looked up on the hillside over there. I think Nick and the camera was blocked, but there was a big buck over on that hill. And he was postured up, and then I looked past him, there was a small buck out there with him. He was all bristled up, pushing that small buck around, probably 400 or 500 yards from us. 4 bucks and 3 does. 3 does came right through perfect. That one buck that came by us ended up getting about 15 yards from us straight downwind. And he kind of got nervous and got out of here, but he never blew. Didn't spook hard. Another good evening. Did not get a buck. Although we could have. If we wanted to shoot that one, he was right there. That one that I saw, though, was Big Hank. He's a big boy. We might be able to come at him from a different direction. We're going to get back to the house and eat some duck gumbo that Nick's fixing to